This is exactly the kind of NASCAR moment that blows up the second the checkered flag falls, because when Tyler Reddick holds off Shane Van Gisbergen on a road course at COTA, people are not going to stay calm. They're just not. And the minute that happened, the noise started. Fans were screaming scandal. People were throwing around the word cheating. Social media went into full meltdown mode. And then Shane Van Gisbergen steps in after the race, looks at what just happened, and suddenly the entire conversation changes. Because what he said did not sound like a guy buying into the chaos. It sounded like a driver who got beat, knew exactly how he got beat, and said it out loud. And I'm telling you right now, that is why this story is so much bigger than one finish. This is about credibility, pressure, history, and a fan base that is now questioning everything whenever something shocking happens on a Sunday. And if you're a real NASCAR fan who loves the raw emotion, the drama, and the truth behind these wild moments, make sure you like this video and subscribe right now, because this channel is for the fans who actually live this sport. We're building a real community here, and if this COTA finish got your blood pumping the way it got mine pumping, then trust me, you do not want to miss what we're talking about next. Because the setup for this race already felt huge before a single lap was run. This was the Duramax Texas Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas, NASCAR's first road course stop of the 2026 Cup season, and Tyler Reddick came into it with a chance to do something nobody in NASCAR history had ever done. He had already won the Daytona 500. He had already backed that up with another win at Atlanta. So now the number 45 driver for 23XI Racing was trying to become the first driver ever to win the opening 3 races of a Cup season. That alone is pressure. But now add Shane Van Gisbergen into the mix, the number 97 Trackhouse driver, the guy who had been dominating road courses, the guy chasing a 6th straight road course win. That's where the tension goes through the roof. One driver chasing history for the season. Another driver defending his status as the most feared road racer in the garage. That is not a normal Sunday. That is a collision course. And from the start, the race felt like a serious strategy fight, not some simple runaway. Ross Chastain got his own piece of the day by taking stage 1. Ty Gibbs grabbed stage 2. Ryan Blaney was a factor. Christopher Bell hung around. Michael McDowell stayed relevant. Connor Zilisch had a chaotic afternoon with spins and recovery drives. There were different pit calls, different stage decisions, and that usual COTA tension where you're not just racing the guy in front of you, you're racing the fuel window, the caution timing, and the fear of making one tiny mistake in the wrong braking zone. Meanwhile, Reddick was doing exactly what elite drivers do when they know the stakes are massive. He stayed in control. He stayed up front. He stayed clean. He ended up leading 58 of the 95 laps, and that stat matters because this was not some fluke where he stole a race late. He was a major factor all day long. But here's the thing. Even with all that, nobody watching those final laps was relaxed. Nobody. Because once Shane Van Gisbergen got into position late, every fan knew the same thing. If SVG is close enough, he can take it from you. That's his reputation. That's what he's built on road courses. He doesn't need chaos. He doesn't need favors. He just needs one opening. And for a few laps there, it looked like the pressure was really starting to build on Reddick. After the key late caution, the one triggered when Ross Chastain lost a wheel, the race got reset into a showdown. Lap 79 restart. Reddick out front. Blaney there. SVG restarting third. Then Van Gisbergen wasted no time. Got by Blaney downhill through the Essies, and suddenly it was exactly what everybody wanted to see and exactly what Tyler Reddick probably did not want to see in his mirror. Just him and SVG late at COTA, with history hanging over the whole thing. And this is where the internet lost its mind because instead of Reddick folding, he answered every challenge. Every time SVG started to close, Reddick found another step. Every time it looked like the number 97 might finally force the issue, the number 45 held him off. And by the end of that run, Reddick didn't just survive. He pulled away. The final margin was 3.944 seconds, which is honestly wild when you think about how tense it felt in the moment. That's why fans started asking questions. That's why the talk got loud. Because to a lot of people, seeing anybody beat Shane Van Gisbergen straight up on a road course feels wrong. It feels unnatural. It feels like something must have happened. And once fans start feeling that way, here comes the word scandal. Here comes the word cheating. Here comes the demand for NASCAR to explain itself. Now this is where it gets interesting because the title-grabbing part of this whole story is not just the finish. It's the reaction after it. People expected SVG to come out of that race angry. They expected him to say something sharp. They expected him to throw fuel on the fire. But what did he actually do? He called it as he saw it. He said it was weird to be disappointed with second. He said the Cup Series is at a high level. He said his safety culture Chevrolet was better than the day before, but he also made something very clear. Following Tyler, his driving was immaculate and his car was very good too. Let that sink in. In the middle of a fan firestorm, the guy who just lost the race did not feed the cheating narrative. He didn't jump into the outrage. He didn't hint at something illegal. He didn't pretend the result made no sense. He basically said Reddick was exceptional. And to me, that is the real story here. Because when Shane Van Gisbergen says Tyler Reddick was amazing, when he says every time he got close Tyler would step it back up, when he says they lacked a little bit of turn and a little bit of drive, that is not a man exposing a scandal. That is a man admitting he got outraced. And honestly, I respect that. I really do. Because in this era, it is way too easy to let the noise do the talking for you. SVG could have given a vague answer. He could have leaned into the doubt. He could have left just enough smoke in the air for everybody to run with it. He didn't. He praised the winner. That matters. At the same time, I completely understand why fans were emotional. Tyler Reddick didn't just win another race. He made history. He became the first driver ever to win the first 3 races of a NASCAR Cup season. 23XI Racing became the first team to sweep the opening 3 races of a season since Petty Enterprises did it back in 1963. Michael Jordan is on pit road celebrating. Billy Scott and that team are nailing the strategy. Reddick is suddenly sitting on a 70-point lead over teammate Bubba Wallace with Chase Elliott 72 back. That is a massive statement this early in the season. So when something that historic happens, the fan base reacts emotionally first and rationally second. That's just reality. And here's the deeper problem for NASCAR. Even when a race delivers everything you could possibly want, history, star power, strategy, pressure, a late restart, and a direct battle between 2 elite road racers, the conversation can still get hijacked by distrust. That's the danger, because post-race inspection found no issues with Reddick's car. There was no official problem, there was no bombshell revelation, there was no confirmed cheating case, but that didn't stop the meltdown. Why? Because a lot of fans now assume that if a result feels too surprising, then something behind the scenes must be wrong. That is the credibility issue NASCAR keeps fighting, and races like this expose it in a big way. And let's give Reddick his due here, because this was not just speed. This was composure. He knew exactly who was behind him. He knew the reputation. He knew the pressure. He even admitted after the race that he was trying to minimize mistakes because Shane is so good and does not make mistakes. That tells you everything. Reddick understood the assignment. Don't overdrive it. Don't beat yourself. Don't give SVG that one little opening. That is championship-level racing. Not flashy, not desperate, disciplined. And on a day where the whole world was waiting to see if Shane Van Gisbergen would once again own the road course conversation, Tyler Reddick stepped right into that spotlight and changed the discussion. So now the sport has a fascinating problem, and it's a good one if NASCAR handles it right. Reddick has proven he can beat SVG in a straight-up, high-pressure road course fight. SVG has shown that even in defeat, he is still the standard because the whole fan base measures the result against him. 23XI looks like the team to beat. Trackhouse still looks dangerous. And the fans? The fans are split right down the middle between celebration and suspicion. That is drama. That is tension. That is exactly the kind of story that can define the early season. But I want to know where you stand on this, because this is the debate everybody's going to have after COTA. Did Shane Van Gisbergen's comments officially shut down the cheating narrative and prove Tyler Reddick simply beat him fair and square? Or do you still think the way Reddick pulled away late leaves room for fans to question what they saw? Drop your take in the comments. And if you're a real NASCAR fan who wants this kind of passion, analysis, and no-nonsense reaction every single week, like this video, comment below, and subscribe right now, because this community is just getting started.